Shalom, Chavarim. Thank you, Sandy, for it's the final countdown. Like, oh, it is? What time is it? Again, I get lost in our Chavarim, in our fellowship. Oh, I just love you guys. I feel it. I felt the group hug. You know, I I miss Alan too. Okay. And it's okay. Where I've cried some every day since we stopped being able to talk every day. And I've kind of kept our closeness a little bit, my daily nefesh, my living experience with Alan, kind of to myself, because I didn't want it to look like some kind of weird flesh contest, like, well, I really miss Alan. But I just want to let you know, I feel like the Ruach's saying, tell them. So, anyway, he would have odd hours, and where are my paper towel? Oh, no. Look what I found, Havareen. Oh, no. All right, I gotta pull it together. He had odd hours, and sometimes he'd be up all night, and I was sleeping. So if he had a thought, which he had often, to tell me, I'd have it on my phone in the morning, a text. Yeah, Mr. Texting is evil. Got an iPhone and found out this is fun. And so after, when I wake up and give my first fruits of my day to Abba, help your thoughts to become my thoughts. My thoughts are terrible. And, my morning worship, I'd pick up my phone to see if Alan had texted. I mean, that was my before I had coffee thought. And he often had, except at that point he'd be sleeping. And I'd start looking at the clock, 2 o'clock, I'd probably be drinking coffee. Oh boy. So, I went about my day. It's 11, he's still sleeping. And then I'd get that. I'd get the little red phone emoji that only Alan used with me. And that's the only person that used that emoji. And it recently fell off the bottom of my recently used emoji list, the frequently used ones. It's not there anymore. But anyway, I'd say, okay, time to walk the dog, because, Dennis works from home, and I can't be yickety-yackety on the phone down here while he's upstairs working. So I'd walk the dog, and we'd laugh, and we'd cry, and we'd share, and we'd bounce things off of about the last live stream, and laugh till I had to make like Gracie in the woods or something. And when I started doing the live streams for him, and we couldn't talk about him, on the phone, he wasn't able to talk on the phone, it really started, my nefesh started shifting, and I'm really glad Vanessa suggested her study about your shift in grief and a shift in nefesh, because boy, if anyone here knows anything about that, it's Vanessa, my Chad Squad sister. I love you. I love that you bring that experience into the family, that we can all be edified and share in it with you. This is the only paper towel I have. It's actually the little light softener. I'm going to have to use it, so now I probably look a little bright. Hold on. Wipe my nose. Well, now I have to put a dirty paper towel on the lamp. So thank you, Vanessa, for that. I'm looking forward to watching it, because clearly I'm, still sad with you guys. So group hug. And it's interesting that you guys brought it up. Thank you, Kelly, for bringing it to our attention. my face is hot now too, Vanessa. But it was brought up to get us going, actually, in a really special time together, about this particular study, because my first note, actually, before, this was from this morning, which is how I was going to review how sad does not equal misery and death, and happy doesn't equal chedwa, joy. That was going to be a little short reminder, because I was going to then go to the next set of words that Hashatan has messed up for us. Messed the entire world up. Literally the world. The church that's in the world and of the world. We all know who I'm talking about, who collectively we're talking about. But the religious, worldly, they don't realize they're worldly among us. The whole world has this messed up, and that is love. And with it, the words nice and mean. So I was going to start off with that, obviously, but the Father really gave us a much better intro than I had planned. It's deep and real. Amen, Vanessa. Yeah. So yeah, he had this in mind when I wrote that down. Who knew? So let's see. Focus. I have the chedwa, the joy of Yahweh, and He's my strength all the time. No matter, I'm hoping that you can see that I understand you guys are sad and it's real, but no one's more sad in our family than me. No one had all day. Ding ding. Text. Anyway, I'm here. I guess I had me share that so that you know it's real, that sadness and chedwa are not the same thing. I'm hoping that I can see from your comments that you see the chedwa, the joy in me. And so I think he was trying to have me tell you just how sad I am, so that you can see the extreme contrast of what the difference between happiness and chedwa. So I hope that is accomplished in your heart by the Father's understanding. And we'll get to love. Here we go. Nice and love have been put together, some kind of reciprocal. We all know the whole sex isn't love thing, that eros business. We know that. But I think there's a truer sense of it that's still false, that is ubiquitous in the church. And that is that niceness is some form of love. And it's not the same at all. And in fact, mean is not the opposite of love. It's the way they define mean, it's like it almost inspires lying, because basically they'll tell you, oh, if you tell someone the truth, that's mean. If it upsets them, that's mean, necessarily. And upsetting someone is not necessarily mean. If you're in the flesh, we'll get to this, but if you're in the flesh and you say something you regret and you need to apologize and stuff, you can be mean. That can be mean. But if you're in the Ruach and you tell someone a difficult thing and it upsets them, that is an opportunity the Father's doing through the Ruach to produce a result that He wants in your relationship, in their life, or something. It's for His esteem. But, we are taught pretty early on to avoid those things. Avoid things that are uncomfortable. Don't say that, because that'll be mean. Well, a lot of times that's the most loving thing you could say, and so Hashatan tricks us to not be loving. But why is that? Because love really isn't, it doesn't have an object. It doesn't have another person really as an object. Love, ahav, as Alan pointed out, is all about making Elohim number one on a list of one in your own heart and life. And as we've discussed since, in these live streams, that that is having or developing, renewing the mind of Mashiach in you. And that comes by being washed by and growing in the Word. And when you're washed by and growing in the Word, by the Father's doing and His compelling you, then you end up pitching your tent with Him automatically. You just can't help yourself. You're compelled. You're doing everything you do with Him, because what else could you do if you were being washed by and growing in His Word? As Tiffany pointed out in her Odiot study, you go through Yeshua, the door, into the tent with the Father. And in this study of Ahav about the yoke was so prominent. That's the same thing. And as Alan pointed out, boy, it's all starting to boil down to make Elohim number one on a list of one. And just recently, I saw this a number of years ago, but just recently the Father revealed to me that all these studies are going to be about that. And I thought, they are? Well, how am I going to make that interesting time after time? He said, don't worry about it. And look what happened this time. This is interesting. My face is still hot. So he took care of the interesting part. He takes care of all of it, actually. I have no idea what I'm doing. I don't know nothing. It's true. So we have the yoke. And I'd never seen this before. But it's Yeshua who gives us the yoke. He says, my yoke is easy and my burden is light. But who are we yoked to? The Father. The Son puts the yoke on our necks, next to the Father. He's the one that connects us, the bridge between us and the Father. It's another way of saying the same thing. He's the door into the tent. He hands us the yoke to be yoked with the Father's tent, with the Father as the ox. And His neck is big and strong, and we're weak and pitiful. So that means that the yoke actually falls heaviest on the bigger neck, which it holds it up a little bit off the weakling flown along next to him. So the burden really is light. The yoke is easy and the burden is light because the neck next to you is enormous. So there you have the yoke. It compels you, which gets us back to the previous live stream about how we're compelled to do what we do by the Father. Well, if you're yoked to Him, of course you're compelled. If He moves forward and your neck is in the thing connected to His neck, then you're going to be compelled to go where He goes, as Alan would do, one of these, yoke. But that's compelled. You're compelled to pick your feet up, because who would be compelled to just let their feet drag by their neck? No one's compelled to do that. That's walking. You walk so that you're not dragged by your neck in the yoke. So I guess that's kind of part of last time's live stream, kind of drawn into this one by the yoke of the Father. But that's love. So as I said earlier, love doesn't have anything directly to do with someone other than you and Elohim. And how we love others is by being washed by and growing in the Word that causes us to be more tightly yoked to the Father. And then it just happens. We treat others the way He wants us to, because, like, as in we learned in Yochanan, in John, Yeshua only does and says what the Father does and says. And in doing so, He loves us. Do you get that? Just by doing what the Father does, we love others. It's not a list of what would you consider nice or mean or whatever. That's all garbage. So then I thought, well, in my brilliance, I don't know nothing. I thought, I know where it tells people how to treat people. Philippians chapter 2. And I was so blown away by how little I knew when I read it. That's my favorite scripture, or one of them. We all know it's Romim. Stop. I hear you. I know there's a delay. It's coming. I'm not lying. It's all my favorite. But I guess my second favorite is Philippians chapter 2. And I never saw it. Yeah, Romim, Vanessa says. That was another thing about me and Alan, by the way. We had a thing. We stuck Yim on pretty much everything. And so he'd text me with a little red phone and he'd say, "Notesy Yim," for notes, on the live stream. I'm like, yeah, I got Notesy Yim. So the first time I said, "Romim" on the live stream, he about lost it. But what was it? Oh yeah, Philippine. All right, so I can't even see the chat when I do this. So listen to this. You're gonna be blown away. This is Philippians chapter 2, verse 1. Therefore, if you have any encouragement from being united with Mashiach, there's united, yoke, lamed, the aleph, the united, echad. If any comfort from His ahav, not what He's done for you, but His being completely, utterly, perfectly yoked to the Father. He's the one. So echad, He only does what the Father does and only says what the Father says. Boy, is that ahav. If any common sharing, echad, in the ruach, if any tenderness and compassion, then make my joy, my chedwa, complete by being like-minded. Whoa! Like-minded, echad, renewed in your mind, the mind of Yeshua, the seed of Yeshua. Make my joy complete by being like-minded, having the same ahav, the same yokedness. I made that up. Be yoked to the Father as Mashiach is yoked to the Father. Being echad, right, in ruach, little r, your own ruach, and of one mind. And when I thought of this passage, I'd skipped verses 1 and 2 in my head because those weren't the things of the list of things that make this how you treat others. I was thinking of that list. But then I read this. Oh my gosh. That's the whole thing. And then he expounds. I had it backwards. I thought that was blah, blah, blah. and then he gave us the real thing. No. Therefore, if you have any encouragement from being united with Mashiach, if any comfort from his Ahav, if any common sharing in the Ruach, if any tenderness and compassion, then make my joy complete by being like-minded, having the same Ahav, being one in spirit and of one mind. Do nothing out of selfish ambition or vain conceit. That's the flesh. Don't do anything outside of the mind of Mashiach. Now, of course, he knows we will and do. The same person who penned this also penned wretched in Romim. So, of course, this is a guideline. This is how it's supposed to look as we become more perfected, more complete. This will become more apparent in your walk. Do nothing out of selfish ambition or vain conceit, or the flesh. Rather, in humility, value others above yourselves. Not looking to your own interests. That's the seed of Hashatan, right? Putting yourself on the throne. Have the mind of Mashiach. Each of you to the interests of others. That's the mind of Mashiach. And your relationship with one another he repeats it, have the same mindset of Yeshua HaMashiach, who being in very nature Elohim, did not consider equality with Elohim something to be used to his own advantage. See, that would be the mind of Hashatan. Didn't Hashatan offer him the whole world to his advantage? All you have to do is worship me and have the mind of Hashatan. Rather, he made himself nothing, taking the very nature of a servant, being made in human likeness, and being found in appearance as a man, he humbled himself by becoming obedient. There's our study last time. Obedience is Ahav to death, to separation from Abba Father Yahweh, to death, even death on a stake. He was separated from him for us, so we never have to be separated. Therefore, Elohim exalted him to the highest place and gave him the name that is above every name, which is Yahweh. That at the name of Yahweh every knee should bow in the Shamayim, the heavens, and on earth and under the earth, and every tongue acknowledge that Yeshua HaMashiach is the Master, the Adon, to the esteem of Yahweh the Father. And to me that is the absolute embodiment of Ahav. So as I know many of you are eager to go back and watch Alan's Odiot studies many times, praise Abba, praise him for that compelling, I urge you to read this along with that study and have the Ruach minister to you in even greater ways for what this mind of Mashiach, seed of Mashiach, Echad with Elohim, yoked to him concept this is. And as that happens, I believe the idea of love, even the church idea of love, you guys know what I'm talking about, will be washed away. And this truth will start permeating your life and your walk, and that it's not about others, that it's about this really, that Echad mind of Mashiach that compelled him to the stake will start, well, not that you guys are, any of us are really starting, but continue in greater ways to impact those around you, because this is what love is. And if we haven't been operating with this understanding, today's a great turning point in all our relationships. Amen. I did want to give you an example of unloving. Like, this is love, but what is really what it means to be unloving? Well, if this is love, then unloving is the flesh, when you react in the flesh. Just yesterday, Abba made me a teaching example of unloving behavior, which does not reflect what we usually think of as unloving, which is why I loosely say I want to share. No one wants to be a sermon example in a negative sense, but here I am. A true sister and a friend wasn't understanding where I was coming from, and she said, I will take that to Abba Father Yahweh and consider it in the Ruach. And I in the Ruach would have said, yay! And, oh gosh, yeah, I need to be shot. Because you don't even know what I did. I said, no, I have to make you understand right now. And, I didn't hurt that person or hurt her feelings or anything. Praise Abba, she's mature in the word. But that was by its very nature unloving behavior, because I didn't trust Abba. I didn't yireh him. I wasn't using the mind of Mashiach. I was using my own flesh to do that. And no, you're going to get it. Oh, Alex, thank you. LOL, been there, done that, failed miserably. Thank you. I'm putting myself out there, you guys. This is my hands are clammy. So, that isn't something we consider generally unloving, if it's not particularly hurtful or whatever. But if it's in the flesh, it's unloving. If it's in the Ruach, it's loving. Whatever it is, if you're operating, just picking your feet up, doing what he does, saying what he wants you to say, which means you're thinking what he wants you to think. Otherwise, you wouldn't be doing and saying what he wants you to do and say, or what he's doing and saying through you. So, yeah, Christine, how we all need less vitamin I. Yeah, I know, right? Oh, yes, Christine, you're just very passionate. Christine, you bring up a good point. I used to really justify fleshly behavior and say, well, I was just looking out for that person. I wanted them to understand. That was a really important point. And I'm passionate. Who can fault me for that? Flesh alert. So, let's see. I got one. I got a note. Let's see. If we are if we are acting like we're okay with something, then we're in the flesh. But worse than that, we're bearing false witness. So, I'm Portuguese, Smoky Girl. I said, I'm not even Italian. I'm Portuguese. They get fired up, don't we? I don't know. So be careful if you're, tending to stuff in your feelings and put on a smile, because that is unloving, because it's not yoked to the Father. It's not it's bearing false witness. Oh, I know, Christine, but you're teasing. I got to remember to read the comment I refer to. I was just teasing. Yeah, I understand, but he used it anyway. Praise Abba to have me make that point. I knew you were teasing. Thank you. So if you recognize, oh yeah, this is it. If you recognize you're being if someone is not loving you, instead of smiling and this, what you really, take it to the next level. Say, you know what? If that person is unloving, and I can discern that in the Ruach, it means, it's either they are actually on the broad path to destruction, and as we talked about in the forgiveness one, they don't know better. They're operating in the worldly sense of love. So to them, most likely, they are loving you. And you can't tell them otherwise. So what you need to do is that becomes a giant in your life. Someone you're with isn't able to actually ahav because they're not yoked to the Father. Well, that should make it easier, like we talked about in unforgiveness or forgiveness. It should make it easier to let it go and actually smile and say, you know what, this is not a reflection on our relationship or how much they think of me, or has nothing to do with me, and has everything to do with their walk with Abba Father or lack thereof. Well, suddenly it's not offensive and hurtful to you anymore. If you frame everything that way, then you're walking in truth. And you have the shalom of it not being against you. And that goes for people who are less mature in the word than you as well. They may have, in fact, been grafted in. They have the seed of Yeshua. But they're a less mature version of who they're going to be however long from now we have on earth. You know, I don't want to say they're going to be 10 years from now, because I don't think we might not even have 10 days for all I know. But remember that if you discern that wasn't loving at all, let it go. Thank the Father. Here's that extreme thankfulness. Thank Him for yet another giant that you can either choose to focus on, or you can yireh, worship, thank, praise Abba for, to give you that chance to say, I understand they're either on the broad path to destruction, or they're just operating in a less mature mind of Mashiach place in their walk. And then you don't have to force it, you know. So there was that note. That may have been a little out of left field, but let's see. More mature, yep. Oh, this note is about things I have to do tomorrow. That's not it. No, I think that's about it for what Abba wanted me to share with you today about Ahav. So, does anyone have any questions about the study? Hashatan likes passion, yeah. Oh, praise Abba, John. It wasn't out of left field. I needed it. Praise Abba. I trust that everything he has me pick up the note and notice is for someone and some purpose. But, you know, I like to have things kind of cohesive and not just be like, oh yeah, I skipped number 3. But not that it matters. That's just me. As long as it gets out there and it ministers to you guys, that's all I care about, really. Yeah, as my Echad Squad sister announced, it's please present your QQQs. Hey, Shebnam. Hey, Gina. Wendy, my new subscriber. There you are, honey. Woo! Hey, Dean. Amen. Oh, where were we reading from? Rolling asked. We were reading from Philippians chapter 2, 1 through 11. Okay, thank you. Kelly, you make me smile and laugh. Love you. I love you too. You guys are awesome. Thank you for bringing up how much you're missing Alan. I appreciate that. That was powerful. And it gave us the lead-in that Abba had planned. You're welcome, Rolene. Hey, Deanie. Woo! Wow. What time is it for you? Grace asks, what does it mean that our steps are ordered? Try to remember to put a capital Q, Q, Q before your question. It is purely by the Ruach. I saw that. Our steps are ordered. Well, actually, the last live stream talked about how we're compelled by Abba Father. And this live stream, we talked about how if you're yoked to him, of course you're compelled to go where he's going because your neck is in the hoop. So you're going to go where he's going. Now, what does that mean about your steps? If you're the little ox being directed by the big ox, connected by the yoke of Yeshua, it's wooden. It doesn't have any give. If he goes to the left, where are your steps going to go? That's right, to the left. And if he goes to the right, you're going to go so that your neck doesn't pull against the yoke. So he orders your steps. The righteous are ordered. The righteous, that's wrong, steps are ordered. And what makes you righteous? Yeshua. By taking his yoke on you, you become righteous. Because of him, you're yoked to the Father through the yoke of Mashiach. And then where the big ox goes, you go. And that orders your steps. Okay, let's see. Joanne. Oh, shoot, it jumped. Wait. Joanne, here it is. Tehillim, Psalms, Psalm 56:8. You put my... Now you know my paper towels are gone. You put my tears into your pitcher or bottle or vase or something. He collects our tears. Your pitcher must be running over. Yes, isn't it wonderful? He saves our tears. Oh man, you know, everyone saying, oh, I'm sorry, I shouldn't be crying. That's a lie of Hashatan. Our tears are so precious to Yahweh. He collects them in bottles. Amen, Joanne, but that was not a question. A misuse of the QQQ. Detention! Let's see. Lauren has, I think, a question. I see QQQ. Why is there so many churches in the world when we are all related? Well, that's a good question. I laughed because of the answer, not because of the question. The answer is flash alert! If you, I know you were here for the last one, but remember when I got so mad at that stupid debate about works versus grace? Well, there are those stupid flesh debates that aren't getting it. They aren't in the Ruach about everything. I just spit. I'm sorry. Everything. The big split is over, are we predestined or do we have free will? That was a big one for church split. And of course the answer is yes. If you haven't watched East is East and West is West, for how things are not either or generally in the Eastern mindset, the mind of Mashiach, they're both. Or B'nai Elohim, children of Elohim, talks about that debate, but there is truly no end to the theological or just theological, religious debate when really no one debating it is in the Ruach at all, or they would understand the Father's heart. And if they had a Hav, which is actually, love, they would be all doing and saying what the Father is doing and saying of one Ruach. They would have this portion of Scripture working in their hearts. Making my joy complete by being like-minded, having the same ahav, being one in ruach and of one mind. The zillions of denominations prove that that is not the case. That's it. That's what it shows. That's why. Oh, good question. Good question. Let's see, John. Anyone else experiencing extra distractions? I keep getting pulled away from the word. Oh, that's a favorite of the minions, John. Yes, I can answer that. I don't need to see anyone else's answers. That's a favorite. Look over here. They say, you know, that's why when Gracie wants to go out in the middle of the live stream, I call her a minister of Hashatan, an agent of Hashatan. She's a distraction. I'm joking about the dog, but yes, the answer is yes. They'll whisper anything to get you away from the word. Hello, caregiver. I've been watching from Alan's channel. Hey, Wendy. Oh, praise Abba. I'm so glad you're here. Oh, as with all of you, newcomers, truebies, newbies, all of you are compelled to be here by the Father, and we are one in Him, and that's real love. That's why we all have that, we feel it. It's discernment in the Ruach to feel loved here. Let's see. Crystal has a question. I think many believers struggle with nice love. Yes, they do, because they're brainwashed. But is there not the mean love too? Yes, of course. The mean love. I know you would quote that. That's exactly what I was getting at, that telling a difficult truth to the world is mean. But Mashiach was not mean at all. He never went his own wicked way, ever once. He never sinned. But count how many times and how angry he was. And telling people in love, that's wrong. I mean, he called the Pharisees vipers, and he went into the temple and turned over the tables and said, "You've made my Father's house a den of thieves." And people really, you're right, church has a big problem with Mashiach's anger and speaking out against what is wrong. And when he told Kepha, Peter, "You will deny me 3 times." Do you think that was pleasant? I mean, we see it portrayed in movies and all, and they don't really, in my opinion, capture the gut-wrenching moment that was for both of them. It was awful, and by all worldly accounts, a mean thing for Yeshua to say. But it was in love. Yes. Oh, it's Je suis Vanessa Wilkerson. Shalom, sis.
Shalom, sis. Excellent. You ready, Yahweh?
Oh, praise Abba.
Yes, I had a couple of things I wanted to say.
Uh-huh.
The chat is so alive. Praise the Father for all the beautiful questions.
Amen.
Speaking, I walked away from my desk, so that quick I forgot her name. Forgive me, I'm sorry. But the beautiful woman who asked about mean love. So she went on, you probably explained it already, but I just wanted to reiterate what the Ruach wanted me to say.
Uh-huh. Oh, go ahead, please.
When she went on to say, because Yahweh has told me exactly what you're doing wrong. At first I thought, do you mean he's telling you exactly what caregiver is doing wrong, or exactly what you've done wrong? So I'm thinking she's saying exactly what she has done wrong. And if that is, and please let me know in the chat, but if that is what you're saying, that is a perfect example of him loving you, the ahav of the Father.
Yes.
Because the word tells us that he is not going to correct those that he don't love.
Exactly.
And when he loves you, you're going to get some correction. And it's going to be the truth, and it might not be what you like. And I'll take this time just to give my little witness. Very few know this, if any in the chat, but I know you know, caregiver. Just about a year ago, I was offered a job, and the money was awesome. Everything about it, I've been on like 4 interviews, everything about it had my flesh in praise, but all for the wrong reason. Because where I'm at right now, I prayed for this. I prayed to be near water because I've always had a relationship with water. I've prayed to have a flexible schedule where I can come into work today and say I'm going on vacation tomorrow and it's not a problem. I had that here. And so I was praying and praying, and he wasn't giving me nothing. Nothing to a point that I became I did. I became depressed, and my ruach very sad because I was like, I've never had Abba not say anything to me when I presented something to him. And that was his answer. His answer was the silence, telling me, that ain't for you. I don't care how much you desire this. That is not for you.
Silence.
And so I had to turn down that job, and anyone in the world would have looked at that situation and me like, you are crazy. Why would you turn that down? And he reminded me, look where I brought you from. Look where I had you at.
Right.
And you want to get rid of what I brought you to? No. So sometimes his silence is his love for you. That is the aha that he has, the correction that he has for us. And when you are being strengthened in his ruach that is dwelling, strengthening, you will come to find that sometimes he don't have to say a word, and that's the answer.
Isn't that like a loving daddy? It's that look.
Oh my goodness.
You know? My mom had that look too, man. It melted me. She didn't have to correct me. Just that one look.
Yep, that one
look.
My son is 21. He can tell you.
I bet he can. Hey, Quadric.
Just a look. Yes, just a look. But that's because your mom, she loves you. She don't believe me. Your mom doesn't walk around giving everybody that look.
No, that'd be crazy. You're right. What a great point. He only disciplines those he loves. And that silent look is discipline. Oh my God.
Amen. And you know, and Alan, he used to say that all the time. Silence is loud.
Yeah, it is an answer.
And that is the answer. So I hope that was helpful. There was also a couple of questions about pictures. I told a few people they can just leave a comment under today's video, and that they'll receive help on how to add their picture and put their picture up.
Yeah. Oh, good. Thanks, guys. And your names too. Yay.
And Jeremiah's little sister, her name is Tamra, I think.
Tamra, okay.
And I walked away from my desk, so don't shoot me.
Okay, well, I'll probably forget too.
Yeah, but that's Tamra, and I love you all so much. And again, we're so full of joy and just head like that. Everyone is coming in and filled with how Abba Yahweh is the leading caregiver to deliver these messages, because regardless if we think we might need it or not, you don't know till you get it, that you really need it.
I don't know till I turn the camera on and start talking. I needed that. Oh, wait, where did that come from? Oh, yeah, the Father who's doing all this. Oh, my
God. It's amazing. It's amazing. And I thank him for giving me something that I never even knew I needed, but that's the love. That's his love for us.
Oh, man.
And it's beautiful.
Oh,
you know,
amen. Oh, love you so much. I wish I could hug you through the phone.
I know.
All right.
Soon. I love you, sister. Shalom.
Shalom. Oh, thank you, Vanessa. What a call. You are a beracha, a huge, complete blessing. Oh my gosh, I love you. I love you so much. Thank you for adding, as the Ruach clearly lays it on your heart to add. And for what you're doing in the chat. You know, Vanessa's here on her lunch hour. Thank you. Wow. Oh, gosh. Okay, let's see. We have Crystal. Oh, yeah, doing wrong. I think, yeah, I'm sure she's saying that he corrects us. And that's love. It can feel mean, like Vanessa said, you know, it actually is in the word that discipline when it's going on is unpleasant. I think it's in Kepha, one of the letters of Kepha, Peter. Let's see, Ruth Ann asks, I failed horribly before, haven't we all? Before I understood they don't know what they're doing, and she won't forgive me. Should I keep trying? Trying to get her to forgive you? If that's what you mean, no. That's what I did to that sister. I tried to get her to see something. That's not aha. Just focus on your own walk and your own connection to the vine. Do what he compels you to do, Ruth Ann. And when you do that, you will grow in ahav, in love, in like-mindedness with Yeshua HaMashiach, in your making Elohim number one on a list of one in your life. And when you do that, his light, his oil, your lamp gets brighter and brighter and brighter and gives more light to everyone in the room. And when that happens, it becomes more forgiveness friendly for those around you. And the Ruach will use that. That is love. Just letting your light become brighter and brighter and brighter. And that will inspire others to see more clearly through the dark. You will dispel more darkness the more you process this love teaching of the Odiot, of the Father's understanding of what love is. Let's see. Joanne asks, I was a little late. Please type and pronounce how you are saying love. Ahav. It's Aleph. I think it's Hey Beit. And that is in Alan's study that that's linked in the Show More section. So get the Odiot study, Joanne, from Alan. Okay. Let's see. QQQs. Oh, I see one. Wendy, where should I draw the line with prescribed medications? Where Abba Father has you, draw it. Learn to pitch your tent with Abba Father Yahweh, and he will direct your steps progressively, more and more. The more you're washed by the word, the more you'll be pitching your tent automatically as he compels you. Seek him first, and he will reveal these things. Don't take a poll. I can't tell you those things, and no one else in the chat's going to, because they realize they can't either. And don't ask anyone just because you know they'll tell me. Go to the Father. He'll tell you. And we don't give each other advice like that, so I'm removing that. Let's see. Do we have any more QQQs? Shalom, everyone. Love you guys. Ahava. Lynette says love is ahava. Well, that could be a variation of ahav. Clearly, ahav is the root. And ah at the end would be a hey, so a spiritual ending. But you gotta watch Alan's study on ahav. That's love. Yes, any more QQQs? Thoughts on Amir's video and see more. Do I have thoughts on it? Yeah, woohoo! Everybody needs to watch it, Louise. I thought Amir was going to burst in this one with excitement over what is going on. I don't link to very many videos other than Alan's, but this one's a good one. Thanks for calling attention to it. It really gives a big twist to the Ezekiel 38-39 war setup. It's coming, and boy, this was a big change regarding where things stand. So I encourage everyone to watch. I'm not going to tell you here. I'm not going to ruin it. Yeah, I probably wouldn't catch up on all of Amir's updates, Vanessa. Just this one's a good one. This one will get you caught up. All right, Lynette, I covered Ahava. Yes, thank you. This reminds me, the only one teaching here, the only ones teaching are me and Vanessa. So we can keep the chat from being a wild theological West scenario. Let's see, Grace in California asks, always wait for someone to ask? Well, yeah, if you don't, you're not going to want to know. If you're giving unsolicited information, it's going to be rejected, in case you haven't noticed. Definitely go back and watch Alan's study, How to Witness Your Love for Elohim. It's funny and informative. Jolly asks, let's see, want to ask if you have people you cannot love, is that a stronghold? Well, Jolly, you got to go back and watch this and Alan's study about what love is again. It's not about other people. So if you're asking me, what if I can't love someone? Then you're not understanding that it's not about other people. It's about your being yoked to Abba Father Yahweh. So watch this a few times. Ask the Father to reveal to you what love Ahav in His Word means, according to His Odiot. Because what's a stronghold here is the church Christian definition of love that we've grown up with. Oh, I can't love that person, or I can't. That's all part of that deception of what love is. So you need to go back, and we all need to watch these a few times to wash that away. As I said earlier, we've got to wash all that understanding, that worldly understanding of what love means away. And then you'll realize that that question doesn't really make sense as in the context of what the Father means by love, Ahav. Candace, I've got Amir's link in the Show More section. It's Behold Israel is his channel. Thank you, Anne. Behold Israel. Let's see. Okay. I think we're going to wrap it up. My goodness, an hour. How did that happen? Okay, well, it was the Father compelling me. Where is this video? Lynette, you mean the one from Amir? What video? Look in the Show More section. All the videos that are truly important to this study are in this Show More section. Oh, thank you, Vanessa. I love you too. I love all of you guys, and let's just bow our hearts and thank Abba for our marvelous fellowship that He's given us, that He's compelled us all to be a part of. Let's bow our hearts. Oh, our precious Abba Father Yahweh, we thank you and we praise you for Ahav, for like-mindedness with you. Wow. Through Yeshua, the mind of Yeshua becoming our mind blows my mind. It's just, as David, I think I said this in my last prayer, it's too lofty for me to even think about, but praise you and thank you for how we are soon to know as we're currently known now, we will know without any shadow or any veil, any misunderstanding at all. Boy, we are looking forward to that. But until then, we press on in your joy, in Hedwa, in the joy of being like-minded, to be washed by and growing in the Word together as a family, your family, our eternal family. Oh, we just can't even wrap our minds around it in this current state. But we just lift it all up to you. Everything we don't understand right now, Father, give us the courage and the strength and the wisdom to come to you with thankfulness that you will reveal what we need to understand for that day. Give us this day our daily bread. Mashiach, the living Word. We thank you and we praise you. And we do it in Yahweh, through Yeshua. And all the Kodashim, all the dedicated ones said, Amen. And you know, I started keeping my eyes open because I noticed when I close them, I do this throughout the prayer. And then I open my eyes and I'm like, oh no, oops. I don't know how that happens. But I love you guys. And until next time, Abba willing, Shalom.